That's the sound of freedom.
Go watch this movie. The Sound of Freedom is out right now for the next couple months, I believe. Go watch this movie. I want you all to know that this thing is probably, I've heard a comment say this, and I totally 100% behind it, maybe the most important film you see this year. It was the most important film I've seen so far this year. Go watch this movie. I don't know what you're still doing here. I want you to go and watch this movie. Okay. This is going to be a raw review. I'm not taking any notes. I'm just going to go based off of what I remember. And what I remember is a very well-made film. I saw it last night. And what I saw was, creatives working in their craft and storytellers telling a very powerful story. I mean, this is talk start with the filmmaking. The filmmaking of this is gorgeous. I mean, some of the shots and locations they were able to scout and utilize were very beautiful. There were a couple CG shots that were very apparent, but for the most part, it looked like they shot on location for a lot of this. And it's a beautiful movie. I mean, the way the DP did the shadows reminds me a little bit of Spider-Man 2. There's a lot of, deep shadows on faces to kind of bring a very, dramatic look, and I really like that look. The colors, it wasn't a very saturated film, but also wasn't a dead-looking, gray-looking movie. I think the colors were very natural. I just really loved the way this film looked. It's definitely a beautiful film to look at for 2 hours, 15 minutes, or however long it is. In terms of the story, it's not doing too much. In terms of the actual skeletal story about, if you don't want spoilers, like I said earlier, go watch this movie. Don't know what you're still doing here. Go see it, come back and watch this anyway. The story about, a little girl, the story is about these two kids, who are trafficked, and eventually, the main character, the protagonist, Tim, is out to rescue these two kids. However, the story opens on a shot of this little girl playing the drums, and so you immediately are drawn to her. And although the film goes other places, you're following her story. And literally, the way this film ends, this is how I would do stuff. It's a book ending. It has, in the beginning is a zoom in, a pan-in shot of the girl playing the drums in her window, and then the way it ends is she's drumming, and you pan out, you zoom out, and so you get to leave the way you came. It's such a storybook ending, and I love it so freaking much. Because again, it feels like a film we wouldn't see anymore. It feels like a film out of the 90s in terms of, or even early 2000s, and how the story was told, and how much of this was just a simple story and not doing anything agenda based, not trying to plug the Hollywood formula onto it. There are certain things that Hollywood films tend to do, but this one does not do many of them. It was very tasteful. This film was very tasteful in what it showed and what it held back on, and the story was powerful anyway, because the director, I believe, and the writers knew we don't need to see all of that. You can imply things through subtext and we'll get it. Was smart. The audience members, for the most part, have lived life. They know the way around certain situations, or at least they know enough for the implications to come across. This movie, I felt like it treated its audience like human beings, intelligent human beings, in that it did not show everything, but what it did show and held back on was enough that we got it. Something I don't think we're gonna get in a lot of bigger Hollywood films. They want to show you everything. They want to get those 3 main highlights in there because that's what they do. The media does want to kind of bury the movie. It's not a secret that mass media does not like the movie. It's connecting it to conspiracies that it does not explicitly connect itself to. And does a good job of not connecting itself to anything. But of course, we want a story, we want, people to be buzzing about stuff. I'm here to tell you, this movie does not have any connections, as far as I know, story-wise, to any of that. And any implications are purely like speculation. It's a summer movie, it's not a summer movie. I'm cool with that. I'm good with art being art. And if your art is telling a message, heavy message, do that and do it well, do it in excellence. But it's not a popcorn movie. I didn't like some of the pacing in the beginning. It was a bit slow, but again, it was set up that I think was necessary for the main character, and so was the protagonist. And so I think it was well within the means of, not doing too much. It wasn't egregious setup. It was, I think, enough. Jim Caviezel did an amazing job playing this protagonist character, and the only thing I saw him was Passion of the Christ. And I, really appreciated his portrayal of Christ in that movie. And so I haven't seen him doing like a normal role at all. And so to see him in a role like this, I thought he did an excellent job. But the whole cast, nobody came to just get a check. Everybody came to work here, and it shows. It shows. The fact that this movie came out now, but was filmed 5 years ago, finished 5 years ago, and was shelved by Disney apparently when they bought Fox, and was just now, released by Angel Studios, I think it's a bit weird. I'm not gonna say it's connected to anything, but I just think that, in terms of outside looking in, Disney's been folding a lot recently. Not just in taking other projects and not releasing them and not giving them their due, but even their own projects don't seem to be doing too hot right now. And it's sad because, again, I grew up in Disney's heyday, I think, for me anyway, the 90s and the 2000s, Disney, early 2000s. Again, I feel like that agenda I was talking about, I don't know why a lot of these films have to keep pushing certain, ideas onto the art. It's to the point where it's a little egregious. And so, the newest Disney movie, Indiana Jones, actually was beat out on July 4th by The Sound of Freedom, which I think is telling, not just of word of mouth being powerful, but just about how audiences are just a bit tired of the same old, a bit tired of being talked at rather than talked to. And then this movie, Sound of Freedom, talks to you. The child actors who played Miguel and Lucia, bro, they are the heart and soul of this movie. They are. And to be whatever age they are, I really appreciate how, committed to the craft that they were. I also appreciate that these kids didn't have to be showed abused on screen or have to be exploited or anything. It was just they acted it. And that's what I think, as an actor, you should be able to tell a story through just your face and your voice. You don't need to, don't need to be seeing anything. The way these actors spoke with their faces was on par with Caviezel to me. They didn't have to say anything, and you were feeling it, which I cannot to no end praise what they did. So that's all. Go see the movie. I don't know why you wouldn't see it unless it's a little too heavy for you, which is fine. Buy tickets for someone else to see it because they're doing that thing too. But yeah, that's it. Love the movie. Go watch it. Peace and deuces.